Hi, Dr. TJ Dixon here, your intuitive guide to transformation, connecting to your best life. Today's message is on how to be authentic with our feelings and to express them in a healthy way. So I'm going to start today's message by telling you of a recent situation that I was in when I refused to really deal with the emotion I was feeling of anger and what it did to my mind, body, and spirit. So recently I had a situation that occurred that I was angry about, and to not reveal too much about the situation because there was other parties involved, but if I were to tell the situation, anyone would agree. It made perfect sense for me to be angry. It made perfect sense for me to feel like I was feeling. But to me, I decided that no, I'm going to go into action and do what I can to minimize the damage of the situation and really be supportive to the person that was actually directly going through the situation. And I didn't allow myself really to deal with or feel the anger that I felt regarding the unfairness I felt this person had gone through. And so I, again, just went into action, was helping this individual move forward and that sort of thing. And probably a few weeks later, I wound up with initially canker sores in my mouth. And I just figured, and it grew from one to two to many. And so I just figured, I said, oh, I must have drank too hot of tea because I drink tea on a daily basis. So I figured, oh, it must have been someday I drank too hot of tea, and so I burned my mouth, and that's why I have all these canker sores. And it was so interesting because I couldn't even ever remember drinking too hot of tea. And so I still wasn't paying attention to what my body was trying to tell me, that I was angry and I had it suppressed. So then I went on and started to develop a cold sore on my lip. And I rarely get cold sores. I might have had one or two cold sores my entire life. And so then I said, this is interesting. So I got out the book, You Can Heal Your Life by Louise Hay. And I've talked about that book in a prior video. But I looked at the probable thought pattern that a person that gets a cold sore might have if they develop cold sore. So I looked at it and basically, and I also looked up mouth sores because I also still had the canker sores. And so when I looked at all of this, basically it boiled down to that the probable thought process was that the person had repressed anger, that they were blaming someone for something, but they weren't speaking it, and that they were holding back bitter words. And so I looked at that, I said, I'm not angry. I don't know what, that's interesting because normally this book really helps me to figure out the metaphysical reason behind what's happening in my body. But this time it was inaccurate because I'm not angry. So I went on and then I started, so my body was trying to tell me, yes, I'm angry. Then it went on to my mind. I'm usually an excellent multitasker. I really don't, it's pretty rare that I forget things or that I'm not able to really manage my day very, very efficiently because I do a ton of things and I'm usually really good at managing. So a day came that I went to an event, and anyone who knows me knows that I keep a notebook with me whenever I attend an event, whenever I'm coaching, whenever I am in a meeting. I'm just, if I listen to a great speech or a sermon, I'm taking notes. This is just what I do. So I'm at this convention, go off, leave my notebook on a chair. I call the hotel back, my notebook's gone. And for some of you are like, okay, so what's the big deal? For me, that was a big deal because I'm like, I have never, ever left a notebook. I mean, they're so important to me that that's just not something I would do. It's just go off and leave it on a chair. It just made no sense. And then it became something else. I can't remember now what that was that I had forgotten. So I said, I need to go and do something to take care of me. because my mind is now starting to forget things. I have this stuff going on in my mouth. I can't figure out what's going on. It won't heal. And then my spirit also, I was functioning well and seemed to be upbeat. But every morning I was waking up, it was like I had to start all the way over because I was feeling kind of suppressed and a little bit down and not joyful like I normally am. Finally, I said, you know what, I'm going to go take care of me, and I'm going to go see a person that I consider my mentor, who's also a Reiki master. She does emotion code, and she's a life coach. So I go see her, and she doesn't say anything to me until the end of our session together. But she performed, she coached me and asked me what had been going on in my life. It was almost like we were just chatting, catching up. And it started to come out where I started to feel this anger in me. And then I kept even trying to suppress it in the session. So we went on from there. We talked about what my next steps were in terms of dealing with some things that have been going on, how to manage some things that have been going on in my life. And we started having the emotion code session. When we did the emotion code, these feelings of anger, of blame, of feeling of worthiness, of all of these major emotions that I had worked through before, here they are coming up again. And so when she got to the one, though, about anger, she says, oh, who are you angry with? What are you angry about? And initially I wanted to tell her I'm not angry about anything, but I started to laugh because I felt like, oh my God, she sees into me. She knows what's going on with me. And I had to admit to myself, I'm like, oh, I guess I am angry. And then I told her what I was angry about, and I'm going, oh my God, my body had been screaming at me, telling me that I was angry, that I had suppressed my anger. My mouth had canker sores. I had the split lip, the cold sore was starting to come on, all of that. And I just laughed at myself like, I do this work all the time. I mean, I'm a metaphysician, for God's sakes. I do this stuff all the time. And if it was anybody else, I'd be like, come on, it's okay to admit you're angry. But no, I would not admit it to myself that I was angry because I thought somehow being angry wasn't spiritual, that I would be being bad if I allowed myself to admit and process my anger. Instead, I needed to be empowering and helpful to the person who was directly going through the situation that I was angry about. And it was just this major revelation that I already knew had I been talking to, say, one of you, or if it was a client, that no, anger is a normal human feeling. And yes, we need to embrace our feelings. We need to allow ourselves to feel what we feel, process them, and respond to them in a healthy way, not react, but respond to them in a healthy way so that we can deal with what we're feeling. We can be authentic and honest, and then we can move forward with our lives. We can figure out what we want to do and move forward. But I had not even allowed myself to do that. And so then later in the Reiki session, as she was performing Reiki on me, during the session, I was in this, getting this download from God, and it was just like a conversation going on, that it was okay for me to be angry because I'm a human being. Human beings are born with a variety of emotions, anger being one of them, and it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It's just like, you could almost look at it as a tool. I could use it for good or I could use it for bad. And sometimes it just is. And so, yes, I was angry. It was okay. I didn't need to go out and yell at anybody. I didn't need to go out and cuss anybody out. I didn't need to go out and do something to anyone. I just needed to acknowledge that I was angry and process it and move forward. And not only was it okay for me to be angry, that it's not that anger isn't spiritual. Sometimes what people do with their anger isn't a good thing. But sometimes anger can be used for fuel to even even launch us even further and beyond into our best lives. And so here I was getting this download. And when the Reiki session was over, she told me, my mentor told me, she said that she found that a lot of energy was poured into my throat chakra, which, by the way, I forgot to mention that my throat had been bothering me a little bit too, which that means you're choking back your words. So my throat chakra, there was a lot of energy flowing through her, pouring into my throat chakra to refill it because the energy, I had leaked all my energy trying to suppress my anger. And then she told me from there, she said, you know, as soon as you walked through the door and you said hello, yes, you were pleasant, you were upbeat. She says, but I could hear in your voice that you were angry because your voice was, she said it was like it was being constrained, as though my voice was being strangled a bit. And I know that sometimes I sound a little bit hoarse. And that particular day, what she said is just sound strained. And as soon as I admitted that I was angry, my voice turned normal. She could hear the normalcy in my voice. And what was so interesting too, as soon as I admitted I was angry, I could literally feel energy here on my lip, as though my lip was it was closing up and it was healing. And within a day or two, my mouth was completely healed. My lip was completely healed because I had finally dealt with and released and processed my anger. So I give this message to you today because maybe I'm the only one, but I have been in this position before where I thought it wasn't godly, it wasn't Christian, it wasn't like Jesus, it wasn't spiritual to be angry. And I'm just here to tell you, feel your feelings, all of them. If you're happy, if you're sad, if you're glad, if you're angry, feel your feelings, deal with them, process them in a healthy way, because one way or another, they're coming out. If your body gets into dis-ease, like my body had began to do, the throat, the mouth, the lip, it's your body's way of trying to tell you, please process your feelings. If your mind's a little bit foggy, you're forgetting things, you're acting not like yourself, your mind is trying to tell you, please process your feelings. If your spirit's down, you're waking up, you've had a great night's sleep, but you're feeling a little bit down and you're having to build yourself back up to feel good again. Deal with your feelings, process them, accept them, understand them, process them, move forward, and move on into your best life. Thank you so much for watching. I also thank you for all of the likes, the shares, and the subscribes. If you know someone who could benefit from this video, feel free to share it with them. And if you have a comment, please comment below. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. And may you live your best life.